I just felt empty. I think that's the best way to describe it. I just felt empty and I was anything but happy. I realized that what was missing was that big piece of self-love. I was doing everything, pouring into my child, pouring into my husband, my family, my friends. I would just be like there for everybody but myself.
Hello guys, it is Riel here, it is Cup of Tea, and today I am so delighted to be joined by Olivia Sage, a transformational life coach, and I'm just ecstatic to have her on the podcast. We connected on Instagram Live, didn't we? And when I heard your kind of insight into some very kind of complex and deep matters, even some that I spoke about myself, I was completely taken by your knowledge and wisdom, and I'm just so grateful to have you here on the podcast, Olivia. Thank you for joining, and thank you for bringing that cup of tea along with you. I see that you already know. And Olivia, I just want to hand it over to you for a little while, just to talk a little bit about your background and your experience and who you are and what you do.
Sure. Yeah. So I have a background in yoga and I teach meditation and sound healing and breath work. So that actually plays a big role in my coaching. So I do embodiment and I'm also trauma informed. I coach women, mostly women and some brave men, and I empower them to create this internal freedom so they can live a life of like joy and love and connection. And these were the things that I myself was missing looking back 5 years ago. And that's why I think I love the intention of your podcast, because self-love has been the biggest thing in my life that changed my life. So a little bit about my story is 5 years ago, I had this life, right? I had everything that I thought I needed to be happy, right? I was living in a penthouse on the beach, married. I had a child. I had a 2-year-old, and people admired my life. I had everything I thought I needed, and people thought I had everything they needed. So one day I had this moment. I woke up and I was like, I just felt empty. I think that's the best way to describe it. I just felt empty. And I was anything but happy. I was depressed. I was suffering. I was just trying to get through my days. I had no purpose. And I realized that what was missing was that big piece of self-love. I was doing everything, pouring into my child, pouring into my husband, my family, my friends. I would just be like there for everybody but myself. And that really created all my suffering. So I went to do my yoga teacher's training, and my background, my undergrad is actually also English language and literature. So I had a little bit of like psychology background from there, but studying ancient texts and realizing that nobody's gonna help me with this but me, right? I realized I was in this victim consciousness, just blaming situations and my ex and my mom, and just looking outside for someone to make me feel safe. I was looking for someone to make me feel loved, but it was just getting worse and worse. I was really unhappy. So there was this moment of me realizing that I have to take radical responsibility for my own life, for my own happiness. So that's literally like, I'm getting like chills saying this because that was a turning point in my life. And yeah, that's how my self-love journey started. And yeah, I'm just proud of myself. And even this was hard for me to say, right? And
Olivia.
now and where I was, it's just a different person, different life.
Oh my gosh, Olivia, even as you say it, I can hear that you're sounding almost emotional when you speak about it. It's so dear to you and so personal and so true. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's something that is so relatable, and I think it's actually a very beautiful thing how you now do transformational life coaching. And it's from such a personal experience. That's where it developed. You went through it yourself. You tried to find, you were pouring your efforts into so many other people, but ignoring yourself, really. And I think that that is something that is so relatable, even to myself. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. How much has that helped? Having gone through that experience yourself, how much does that make it so much more relatable when you're speaking to your clients and you almost see yourself in some of the things they're saying? How much has that benefited your relationship with your clients, having gone through it yourself?
It helps a lot. I mean, I don't do any like paid advertising, like nothing, right? I just share my soul. I just share what I go through. I share my story, and my clients come from everywhere, everywhere. I don't know where they're coming from, but it's like this energetic alignment. And I think it's about my intention and my purpose, right? Because it became my mission to help people who are suffering. Like, I was suffering silently. I didn't know like where to go. I didn't know if I should go to therapy. I didn't know, like, and I went to therapy. It didn't help much. So I just realized that I didn't have any support, right? I was supporting everybody and I didn't have any support. And it took me a good 3.5 years to come to the other side. So I realized I want to be the person that I needed at the time, because I really needed a coach. I wish I knew, there were people out there who can help me with that. Because with the therapy, I find like accountability, there's no responsibility. It's just this exchange of, like you're telling what's going on and, you're paying, and then that's it. Like, there is no game plan. There's no intention. Where am I going from there? Like, there's no vision, right? But now when I work with the clients, first of all, it's really helpful for them to see where I am right now, right? Because when you're suffering silently, when you're in that place of lack of self-love, it's hard to imagine, it's hard to trust, it's hard to believe that you can go to the other side. Like, when I talk to people, their reaction usually is, wow, like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And it's an interesting reflection for me to remember, wow, I also thought that way. I didn't know anything else was possible for me, right? I thought I was going to be miserable the rest of my life. I thought I felt stuck and helpless. So now with my clients, it's helped me to like be a good mirror, like be a mirror for them to see what's possible. Like, I work from home, I'm traveling, I'm in Turkey, and I'm still working and changing people's lives and, just living into my purpose right now. And that really inspires the people, the clients and non-clients.
Yeah, exactly. You've really inspired me today as well. So thank you. Olivia, I just want to ask you, because I know that self-love is such an important foundation of your coaching and just your life in general. What is self-love to you?
To me, self-love is, first of all, like getting to know yourself, right? I realized from my personal experience that I didn't love myself because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know. I was doing all the things that I thought I should be doing. I was living this life that I thought I was supposed to. I was doing everything with the programming. So self-love for me was the awareness. Like, the first step for me was the awareness. Is this what I truly want? Not what my friends, want, what my parents wanted, not my partner wants. Is this really what I want? So having that awareness every day and getting to know yourself helps me a lot, through my self-love journey. And like I said, taking that responsibility of self-love, because in relationships, when I coach people in relationships, people are, suffering a lot because of the relationships, right? We are letting other people into our hearts, and then we get heartbroken, and then we blame them, right? He broke my heart, she broke my heart, and this relationship is making me miserable. But for me, part of self-love is also learning how to tend to your own heart, like knowing what you need emotionally, becoming intentional and becoming conscious emotionally, and being able to fulfill your own needs. So when you know your heart, when you know how to take care of your own heart, your own self, then you'll make better choices. You have higher standards, right? You don't let people in who are going to break your heart. You see that. It becomes so much clearer. And I think lack of self-love comes from trauma, and trauma is something that's so personal to everybody, but also so universal, right? We all have some kind of trauma. And it was this like filter almost, and we see the world through this filter and we cannot see clearly. So for me, I had to like really peel all these layers of inauthenticity and then heal a lot of the trauma that's in my mind, in my body, in my soul. And through that journey, I was able to learn and know who I am, what I need, what my heart needs, what my body needs, what my mind needs. So once you like learn yourself and know what you need, then you also pick and choose the people who let in your life. So much better.
Oh man, Olivia, wow. Yeah, sounds like a real journey. And yeah, when you think about coaching people that are in relationships, emotions run so high in relationships. And, I think, just from personal experience and just from speaking, yeah, speaking to people that are in relationships, like my friends and stuff, you realize so many things about yourself that a partner can really either suppress things about yourself, or they can really bring out things about yourself that you never knew were there in the first place. So I can imagine that really is a journey for you to speak to these kind of people and coach these kind of people. But along the same lines of what you mentioned there, Olivia, where does that self-acceptance fit into self-love? Are you able to love yourself thoroughly and wholeheartedly if there are still certain characteristics or traits about yourself that you are, for example, ashamed about, or you haven't accepted, or you don't accept as part of yourself? Do you have to have complete acceptance of every part of you to achieve that self-love?
This is very tricky. I think self-respect comes into play, right? And it's not about being perfect and accepting all parts of you. It's about actively leveling up to your highest potential, just being on the path, right? And yes, and I'm not about like, even though I have the yoga and spiritual background and I love meditation, I don't go about like, oh, love yourself unconditionally. It's a little bit, it gets a little bit challenging. Yes, we should love ourselves unconditionally, but if you're breaking your promises to yourself, right, all the time, if you commit to eating healthier, if you commit to going to the gym, if you commit to meditating, if you commit to having higher standards and boundaries and this and that, and you don't do those things, right, you disappoint yourself all the time. You can still love yourself, but it does get challenging, right? So for me, having being able to respect yourself helps with self-love. And once you accept that you're human, and yes, you can have failures, which are lessons and blessings. There's no failures or mistakes, but the way you see things, right, it's about how you respond to things when you don't keep your promise to yourself. Do you be like, oh, I'm the like, so it becomes a double-edged sword, right? So you don't go to the gym today. How do you respond to that? Do you respond to that with self-love? Okay, my body really needed the rest today, and I respect that, right? And you respond and you be present with yourself. Or do you beat yourself up and say, I suck and I'm like really, I didn't go to the gym today, I'm gonna be fat the rest of my life. Like it's about how so this ties into, I think, like self-criticism, right? So how do you talk to yourself? So that's a big part of self-love for me. And still today I catch myself, like if I was gonna do something like for work or and I'm going to sleep and I'm like, oh, like I forgot to do that thing. And then what comes next? Like, how do I talk to myself? Do I say, oh, like I messed up? Or do I say, oh, that's okay, like I really need to sleep right now, I'll do it tomorrow? Like, how do you talk to yourself?
Yeah.
Plays a big role into self-love.
That is such a good point. Absolutely. Very relatable. And you really spoken to me there as well. Really about outlook on life as well, isn't it? You know, like how you look at things, positive, negative. Yeah, I know what you mean. Because sometimes people will miss a day at the gym. I do this. I miss a day at the gym and it's like the end of the world. I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose my routine. You know, that's what I'm most worried about. Missing a few days at the gym. The gym has been incredible for my mental health. Because what I've realized about the gym, Olivia, is that it isn't actually just about the working out for me and looking good and all that. It's actually about the drive to the gym and just getting out the house as well, and just having some me time in the car to like listen to my music and then go there and just be in a place where, you know, I recognize some people, but I don't know everyone there. So I can just have me time and I can just, you know, anything that I'm stressed about, I can just work it out. And it almost feels like you're sweating out your problems for like an hour and a half, you know, and then leaving and then having a protein shake in the car. It's all just part of this me time for me, you know. So yeah, it really is. So I see the gym as not just working out. I see the gym as getting out the house and having and just attending to myself, attending to what I need, attending to what makes me feel good, you know. So I love that example about the gym because I think that's very relatable to many people. Olivia, we're coming to a close very soon. Thank you for joining me. Olivia, I just want to give you a quick scenario, right? Because you mentioned that before you started coaching, you experienced bouts of depression, right? And I experienced bouts of depression especially when the lockdown started last year. And I was experiencing all these new things with the lockdown and can't leave the house and the scare factor in society, you know, all the horrible things that are on the news and social media. I think a lot of that got to me. And then I started to think about my career and how it's going to impact my career and everything, you know. So I had that as well. And I know you suffered, well, I don't want to say suffered, but you experienced depression as well. A lot of people, when they experience depression, they can't see a way out of it, you know. And I know you kind of alluded to this earlier, but as a coach, let's say you have a client that you're speaking to and they're going through this bout of depression and they can't see a way that they could ever, it's almost impossible for them to attain self-love. And they express that to you. They say, I can't get out of this. It's impossible for me. So I'm just gonna, this is it. I'm done. I'm giving up. I'm just gonna live like this for the rest of my life. As a coach, how do you go about challenging that mindset and motivating someone and inspiring someone to at least give them the hope and belief that there is a light at the end of the tunnel? It can be done, you know? How would you go about bringing someone out of that hole?
Yeah, I think, like, I touched upon it a little bit. So I used to really dim my light because I thought it will make other people feel bad, right? So me stepping up and stepping into my power and shining and showing them that, and sharing my story that I was there and now I'm here, right? Just giving that inspiration. Like, I think stories are very powerful. And when we are in that place of depression or anything we're going through that stuff, I think one thing that we all believe is that we are the only one going through it, right? So for people to know that they're not alone helps a lot. And seeing people who were there who are now in a different place, that helps a lot. That's the second thing. And faith, you know, doesn't matter what you believe in, like God, the universe, divine wisdom, power, like whatever you believe in, I encourage them to tap into that. Their internal wisdom, their internal power and connection to self is, for me, a big step to, you know, connection to the divine, connection to nature, connection to other people. So that connection to self is a big part of self-love and getting out of that stuckness, you know. And last thing, I know I have okay, last point is I always ask them, like, have you ever changed anything in your life? Anything, like something that you were scared of, like even learning how to ride a bike, right? Before you learn it, you don't know if you're going to be able to do it. You're scared to fall, but you do it, and you know, then you never forget. So if you change anything in your life before, you can change this one too. Like you have that power, just reminding people of their own power, because we forget.
Mm. Yeah, that is very true. That is a really, really good answer, to be honest. Yeah, it's almost like when you hear someone else's story, sometimes you're like, sometimes in life you just hear someone's story, you know, maybe they're in the hospital or they went through this and they had such a horrible experience, and you're like, wow, I should not be complaining, you know. And sometimes you really have to experience that to put it into new perspective. And yeah, I think that really puts it into perspective. Olivia, thank you very much for joining me. This has just been truly incredible, and you've come on here and you've really been incredible, and I appreciate it very much. Olivia, is there anything that you're doing at the moment that you want to let anyone know about, or how they can follow your journey or get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. They can follow me on my Instagram. I don't know if you can put it out there. And
Absolutely. It's what I do.
so I focus on one-on-one, like really my client's journey become my own. And I really like that intimate setting. So I have one-on-one coaching, and that's all I do right now.
Oh, amazing, amazing. And is it for anything specific, or if someone's just going for a bad time, they can come to you? It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, of course, doesn't matter what it is. I do life coaching. I work with all 8 areas of the life, and it's fun because they're all connected. You know, when I'm coaching business coaching, I start coaching mindset. When I'm, like coaching about like belief system and relationships, everything is so tied in together that we look at everything. And yeah, if you're not happy, if you have any complaints about any area of your life, like, we can talk about it, dive deep. And yeah, I have a 3-month and a 6-month one-on-one coaching program, and yeah, feel free to reach out.
Fantastic. I'm sure certainly people will do. Olivia, I want to end on this note, okay? It's kind of like a fun thing. Okay, so I want you to picture this scenario, okay, Liv? You wake up one day and you're... Do you know what's coming?
Not really.
Oh, you don't? Okay, good.
Yeah, it's like, where are we going?
Where is this going? Okay, you wake up one day, Olivia, and you're on a desert island. Okay? You're on a desert island, all right? And you wake up and you're just thinking, what is going on? I'm on a desert island, and you've got you've got no possessions. You're completely alone on this desert island. You look around, you don't see anyone. And anyway, so you get up and you start walking, and you're walking. I'll tell you where you're walking. You're walking on that soggy sand. You know where the ocean hits? And, you're walking on the soggy sand, so your feet are going under the sand, right? You okay? You're thinking, what is this? So you're walking, and then eventually you hit your foot on something, right? And it's the pinky toe. You always hit the pinky toe. It's terrible. And you go, ah, you're like, oh, what was that? And you pick it up, and it's a lamp, okay? I don't know if you've seen Aladdin. You've seen Aladdin, the movie? Yeah, so you see the lamp, right? You pick it up, and you rub the lamp, and poof, a genie appears out of the lamp, Olivia. Can you believe it? And his name is Simon Watford, because that's just the name that I made. So the genie comes out the lamp, and his name is Simon Watford. You with me so far, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're picturing it. Okay. You're in the zone there. You're in the zone. You're meditating on it. Anyway, so Simon comes out of the lamp, and he's been in there for 427,000 years. All right, that's a long time. 427,000 years. That's a very long time, right? Okay. Yeah, more than comprehensible. And he says to you, he's in a very bad mood. He says to you, he's in a very bad mood. He's been locked in there for a long time. He's very grumpy. And he says to you, Olivia, I'm going to do a very bad thing because of my grumpiness. I'm going to steal your voice away from you. All right. So he's going to take your voice, so you can never speak again. Okay. He's going to take your voice, and that is it. You can't speak again. All right. However, you have let him out the lamp, right? So he feels a little bit grateful. So he says, before he takes your voice, he's going to grant you one final wish. Okay. And that wish is that the next sentence or phrase that you say is going to be echoed across the entire planet. Everyone is going to hear in that moment exactly what you're about to say. It's going to be translated into every language. It's going to be in every country. Everyone's going to hear it. But that is the last thing you'll say before he takes your voice away. So, Olivia, In that moment, what do you say to the entire world? Take your time. No one ever has an answer ready.
I would say that remember who you are. Remember that you are whole and divine and powerful, and you have everything you need within you.
Powerful. Yes. Do you know what? One of my best friends came on the podcast and he said something, and I thought it was so powerful, very similar to that last sentence he said there. He said, everything you have is already right here, you know?
Yeah.
And anytime I hear something along those lines, that really resonates with me. Thank you for sharing that, Olivia. That's got me. That's got me. Olivia, that's it. We've gone on for a very long time. I said half an hour it's going to be, and I don't know how long it's been, but this has been great. Thank you so much, Olivia. I really appreciate you. And you're welcome back on the podcast anytime. Thank you very much. This is Riel, John-Baptiste. Go ahead.
Thank you. I really enjoyed being on. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. This is Riel, John-Baptiste, signing out with Olivia Sage.